Welcome back, everybody. Today we have a unique tier list for you, which is going to be about the meta-defining item Blade Mail. Now, if you've been on my Twitch stream, I have been raving about just how strong this item is, and in this video, we're going to be talking about exactly why this item is so strong and the type of heroes that would want to buy it. Let's go ahead and get started. So before I start the tier list, I really need everybody who's watching this video to clear your minds. Act as if you've never bought a Blade Mail. Act as if everything you know about Blade Mail never happened. Act like, you're experiencing Blade Mail for the first time. Every preconceived notion, bias you have, experience you have with Blade Mail, just act like it never happened. Okay, now that we've all centered on the same page here, I am going to talk to you about exactly what Blade Mail does. Blade Mail is a relatively cheap item, only 2,100 gold. And it has a decent buildup. It has 550 gold for the chainmail, 1,000 for the broadsword, and a not so expensive recipe. So when we look at it, you'll see that it has a passive. Every time you are attacked by heroes or creeps, you return 20 damage plus 20% of the attack damage that someone deals to you. So if you get the Blade Mail kind of early, 10 minutes in, say the heroes hit for 80 damage, every time they hit you, you're reflecting 36 damage. That's a decent amount, especially since at that stage of the game it's more impactful because the heroes are hitting for less and generally heroes do not have sustain or lifesteal. The item itself also gives you a little bit of right click damage, 20 damage, and 7 armor. Now the way that this item works is that when you read the active, it says damage return for 5.5 seconds, which is a pretty long time. That's the equivalent of like a max used BKB. The damage returned from all sources is increased by 85%. So that means that if you add that to the passive, when somebody's right-clicking you, they're actually taking more damage than they are doing during the active, and magic damage is about 85%. Now, the way Blade Mail works is that the damage that is dealt to you is taken before reductions. So say the guy's right click just says it hits for 100. That 100 damage will be dealt to you, and then it will be reduced by your armor, magic resistance, whatever, and you'll take 50 damage. However, the damage that is reflected based on what they originally did. So if they had 100 damage, the damage will be reflected as 100 damage in the type of damage that you dealt it. So if you dealt 100 physical damage, it'll be reflected as 100 physical damage, and then be proceeded to be reduced by your armor. So theoretically, a magic damage hero that has a pipe who is hitting a Blade Mail will take less damage from the Blade Mail because they have a pipe. So, now that we're all on the same page of exactly what Blade Mail does, and we've cleared our minds of our history of Blade Mail, let's talk about the premise of this item in this meta. So, historically, Blade Mail has been an item that many of us would think of as an item that helps us kill people. You're thinking of Axe. You're thinking of Legion. You're thinking of Huskar with an axe. You're thinking of Clockwork who cogs you and forces him to fight you. And then you hit them back and they have a Blade Mail. Now, Blade Mail over time has been buffed, the passive component. The return damage has been buffed. But most notably, the duration has been increased several times, all the way up to 5.5 seconds. So now that we're looking at a 5.5 second item, that we're not talking about an axe call that lasts less than 3 seconds. We're talking about 5.5 seconds. So what if I told you that Blade Mail as an item right now is not broken because it helps you kill somebody in a burst damage combo? It is broken because they can't kill you for 5.5 seconds. What if I coupled that with the fact that this meta is very burst heavy? You're seeing a lot of initiators that burst you like Earthshaker, Earth Spirit. You're seeing carries like Phantom Assassin. You're seeing supports like Skywrath Mage. What if I told you that with this new wide open map, that one of the most scary things to do is roam off by yourself, walk up hills? This was a problem that used to be solved by Eon Disc, right? Because you'd walk up, you'd run into 4 heroes, Eon Disc, and then you would survive. Now, what if you were just so tanky with a blade mail that when you did that, instead of surviving, you take everyone down with you, to the point where people just stop trying to go on you? Okay, maybe you followed along so far. So what blade mail I see as is the new Vanguard, in the sense that it is an item that allows you to basically tell the opponent to fuck off. You can't do anything to me. You do damage, you'll kill yourself faster while I farm. Okay, it is a farming item that allows you to sit on lanes and say, you can't go on me. We're going to talk about the 4 traits that a hero needs to have to be the archetypal blade mail builder in this current patch. The 4 traits that we're looking at are a hero that doesn't mind showing on lanes, giving the opponent the information that they're somewhere else, and getting initiated onto. They don't mind that. 2, hero that creates meaningful pressure on the lane they are in by either quickly clearing the creep wave or by threatening the tower. 3, a hero that the enemy team would generally want to focus, because their abilities either save teammates or have very high impact in teamfights. 4, if they survive with low HP, meaning you win on them, but you couldn't quite finish them off because they blade mailed and you'd be killing yourself, they can then rejoin the fight if they had low HP or have meaningful impact immediately after you stop focusing them. Okay, we have laid down all of the foundation that is necessary for us to be on the same page about blade mail. I am making this video for you because all I'm doing in my games is picking a strength hero and buying a blade mail. Picking a strength hero and buying a blade mail. Oh, different strength hero, you say? I'm gonna buy a blade mail. Also, another strength hero? I'm gonna buy a blade mail. You guys may see that my game history looks decent. You know, looks like a lot of wins. You know, there's some carry games thrown in there, but there's a lot of strength heroes with a blade mail. Now, I'm not bragging here by showing you my win rate history. I'm telling you that it really feels like the meta is chopped up by this one single video. So let's go ahead and talk about the best blade mail heroes in the game. So right before we get into the tier list, I want to let you guys know that I can't name every hero in Dota. And I think a lot of them I just wouldn't buy blade mail on at all. And I may be wrong about some of these. But if you don't see the hero on this tier list, that means I would probably never buy a blade mail on them, or very unlikely to buy one. So because we've laid out exactly what I'm thinking, we're going to actually start with S tier for this hero tier list and work our way down. So first and foremost, the god tier blade mail heroes of 7.34. We have Dawnbreaker, Centaur, and Kunkka. What makes these heroes S tier? Dawnbreaker and Centaur are 2 heroes with very high strength gain, very rapid wave clearing, built-in sustain, so if they take damage they'll heal it off. Centaur has really high HP regen, Dawnbreaker has built-in lifesteal, and if they are not gone on when they're farming, they have a global spell that makes it more difficult to kill their teammates. So, if you pull ahead out of the laning phase, these 2 heroes are incredibly oppressive to the opponent being able to make any plays. Kunkka is in S tier because not only does he have instant wave clear with his abilities, does he have an oh shit button, the boat, he can rejoin fights with X if you bring him down low, and generally speaking, X as a concept means that Kunkka can kind of just walk down lanes, and even if you don't necessarily go on him, if he finds you, he's setting up a lot of kills for his team. Also, blade mail into Ags on Kunkka is insanely strong right now. The new change to Torrent, which makes it like the lingering effect on the ground if you didn't get hit by it, makes his Ags like super broken. So now you have blade mail, you get your Ags off, you get your boat off, and you are an absolute menace in teamfights. A tier. These are the heroes, generally speaking, that like to get up in your face. They don't necessarily need like mana items or HP items in order to do that. Like they will just use their spells to get up in your face or just walk at you. And then really the only way to deal with them is to like pelt them with spells to make them back off. We see the 3 spirits, Ember, Earth, and Void, which generally, like, if you try to man fight them and stand your ground, that's really your only option because there's no such thing as running away from Astral Step, Fire Remnant, Rolling Boulder. And then we see the likes of Primal Beast, who's similar in the regards to charging on top of you from a distance and him trampling on top of you, and you have to stun him, you have to hit him with spells in order to make him stop. And then the other two heroes, Wraith King and Mars. Mars has Arena, which if you manage to not focus him, and he also has a spell based on right-click damage, which utilizes the damage of Blade Mail, then Arena is an incredibly punishing spell in teamfights. And Wraith King is a hero that kills your towers, has a built-in crit. I don't really believe Wraith King is a carry right now and wants to buy Blade Mail, but I've been hearing that other people are running Blade Mail Wraith King offlane, and I'm going to be trying it myself. So this hero creates pressure on towers, has built-in right-click, and you can't really afford to ignore him on the map because of the fact that he farms really fast, and then eventually he's a blink stunner. B tier. These are the heroes that generally use Blade Mail to just say, don't kill me while I'm farming. These heroes have decent impact with just their spells, and the Blade Mail is appreciated for like speeding up their farming a little bit. But these heroes are B tier because I don't think they're all the best heroes in the patch. In this case, I do think Furion's really, really good this patch. But Blade Mail is not like an absolute core item for them. It would be an item that you felt like you needed it that game. This hero would be good with it because you're dealing with like a sniper or like a drow that's going to pelt you and you need to Blade Mail to protect yourself. But these heroes could theoretically function without a Blade Mail. C tier. This tier is reserved for the classic, C for classic, Blade Mail builders that can force you to fight them. We mentioned them at the start of the video. Axe, Legion, Clock, and Huskar. The reason why these heroes are C tier is because other than maybe Huskar, who would go Blade Mail after Ags, so he would get the Blade Mail later, so it's no longer really a farming item for him. It kind of like removes half of the benefit of this item. These heroes do not want to show on creep waves. These heroes want to hunt you down. These heroes want to smoke and blink onto you. When I'm telling you the power of Blade Mail is that you just walk at them and they see you and they can't do anything about it. But these heroes are all about sneaking up on you and killing you in a matter of seconds. And that is not what I believe makes a good Blade Mail builder right now. D tier. These are the heroes. You would either ignore them on the map, ignore them in team fights, or they might just need other items. And they also can't really rejoin the fight if they get low. Maybe in the case of Abaddon he could, but what I'm basically saying is we'll break down their weaknesses individually. Viper, if he survives, he doesn't really do anything, right? Like, if he's on 200 HP, he's just going to limp his way out of the fight. Bristleback is a hero you don't generally want to focus anyways. Death Prophet's a hero that generally needs other items, and her strength gain is a bit lackluster compared to all the other heroes, so she doesn't innately use the Blade Mail. And in the early game, when you want to use it to be farming, Death Prophet can't really afford to tank creeps like naturally. She doesn't want to spend Spirit Siphons just to heal off creep damage. Abaddon, I think, is just kind of a weak core right now, and also has like the Bristleback effect where he can pop Blade Mail, but you don't really want to focus him anyway because he's got his ulti. Pudge doesn't have built-in sustain, so we can't really afford to rush the Blade Mail. He also doesn't need it to accelerate his farm, and he's not really much of a core right now. And then Brewmaster, I feel like, is nice in the fact that you want to focus Brewmaster, so if he pops Blade Mail, that makes it less enticing. But at the same time, I feel like Brew kind of needs other items, and he can't just really afford to like rush Blade Mail. He like has sustain issues, mana issues. He usually has to go like Spirit Vessel. He's also a Universal hero, no longer a Strength hero. Last but not least, in our F tier, these are heroes that you really just ignore if they buy a Blade Mail. Like, you either ignore them in fights and or on the map. So in the case of Tide, the only exception for this rule for Tide, since he has Kraken Shell, if I was Tide, would be maybe they have a Disruptor Static Storm or a Ricky Cloud, something that would allow them to focus me through Kraken Shell that I now buy Blade Mail for so they can't. Timbersaw needs mana items, and I hope you're not dumb enough to be focusing a Timbersaw at the start of the fight anyways. Alchemist, yeah, he has natural built-in regen, he's a strength hero, but overall, once again, kind of needs other items. Doom, the reason why this hero goes Midas is because of the fact that the way Doom works is you just don't want to mess with this guy in the first place. If he buys a Blade Mail, that's the most ignorable hero in all of Dota. And then I put DK on there because a few people had mentioned it. This hero applies some pressure to towers, but in general, this hero either needs like some right-click damage, like a Blink Dagger, a BKB. Generally, like, if you don't kill him, you'll just run away from him. And in the early to mid-game, he needs other items than that Blade Mail. Now that we've wrapped up our Blade Mail tier list, I believe in each and every one of you to get out there, pick a strength hero that walks down lanes, and buy a freaking blade mail. Because that is the key to winning in 7.34b. Thanks for watching, everybody. Hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you think in the comments. See you guys next time.